Darwin to quickly the Wallace line. Charles Darwin spent 20 years researching evolution without publishing his findings. But a letter he received in 1858 from another naturalist, Alfred Russel Wallace, prompted Darwin to quickly publish his own theories in the seminal work The Origin of Species. The contents of the letter included Wallace's own theories on evolution, which were quite similar to Darwin's. While Darwin became famous, Wallace's name is barely known outside scientific circles. He has, however, achieved a modicum of fame in modern times for being the father of biogeography, as well as one of history's greatest specimen collectors. In addition, Wallace is best known for the Wallace line, his theory that a line of deep water separated the fauna of Southeast Asia, New Guinea, and Australia into different types, which served as the basis for his ideas on evolution. Alfred Russel Wallace was British, like Darwin, and a naturalist, but the similarities between the two end there. Wallace was younger than Darwin, did not come from wealth, and received no formal education after the age of 14. He was self-taught and worked as a land surveyor while pursuing his hobby of botany in Britain. Then, in the spirit of adventure, Wallace and a friend visited the Amazon rainforest in 1848 and spent 4 years there. His expenses were paid by shipping home insect, animal, and plant specimens to British museums. It was in this manner that Wallace funded practically all of his research over his entire career. This endless collecting of specimens is what gave Wallace the ideas on evolution that he described to Darwin in his famous letter. Wallace noticed that within individual species, there was a wide variety among the specimens that he was collecting. He had also noticed that geography played an important part in animal distribution. Wallace came to realize that a line of deep water divided the species of animals in the eastern part of the Indonesian archipelago, New Guinea, and Australia from those in the western part of Indonesia and the Malay Peninsula. Started in the Celebes Sea, ran between Borneo to the west and Celebes to the east, and then passed through the narrow strait in which Bali was to the west and Lombok Island was to the east. Eventually, naturalists dubbed this the Wallace line. Wallace discovered 177 species of birds, such as woodpeckers, hornbills, and pheasants, which were found predominantly on the western side of the line. In addition, there were 215 species of mammals, such as rhinos, orangutans, tigers, and gibbons, on the western side of the line, and which were not found in the east. Wallace found species east of the line that were almost unknown west of the line. Among them were marsupials such as the kangaroo and the koala, and many birds, including the bird of paradise, the cockatoo, and the cassowary. Altogether, he identified 241 bird species and 79 mammal species east of the line that were practically non-existent west of the line. Most animals on both sides of the line were relatively. The Wallace line is an example of what is now called biogeography, of which Wallace is considered the father. Wallace clearly deduced that some force was at work, placing these animals in one location and not another, and that the deep water line between the two sides prevented the passage of species from one side to the other. Within each area, the variety of specimens he found belonging to the same species led him to conclude that each one had come into existence from a similar common species that had existed before them. In other words, they had evolved. Wallace did not, however, utilize the term. Darwin recognized that Wallace's ideas were similar to his own and gave a presentation in July 1858 on his theories, while also giving equal credit to Wallace. But it was Darwin who published first and is credited with coming up with the theory of evolution. To their lasting credit, both of the men remained friends. Wallace never begrudged Darwin's fame, and Darwin never denied the role Wallace had played in the theory of evolution.